Right, so today I found out I've been furloughed. Right, so I'll be able to clean all this mess up. That's an old desktop down there, work stuff which I will not be needing for the moment. I can finally move all that stuff away. So this is the new room. Kind of echoes at the moment because there's no carpet, but I'm hoping the audio is still okay on this. It's also much brighter and nicer to film through here, so here we are. So I've been furloughed by the company I've been working with for the last, I want to say 6 months. And what this is, basically in the UK, employers can receive grants from the government to pay 80% of salary for employees that they basically want to keep within the business but put aside while the business tries to recover or at least reduce damages through this lockdown period. Now obviously with only being in the company for 6 months, I'm definitely lowest on the food chain. Now this means that obviously in the hierarchy of things, I'm probably one of the more expendable people. But obviously they want to try and keep me in the company, so this is kind of a fair way of trying to say, right, we're going to reduce your wages by a little bit, but you technically get X amount of weeks holiday for free, which you kind of take the good with the bad. So the furlough scheme gives you 80% of your normal salary up to a total of £2,500 per month. Now that's way more than I earn normally, so I don't have to worry about that. Obviously other people do, especially if they provide for a family. But by reducing that fee down, you don't necessarily need to work for the company during that period. Now that could be advantageous if you're like myself and you've basically worked non-stop since Christmas. It allows you to get some time off without having to eat into your annual leave, which is excellent because there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. So I personally would feel like it would be a waste to use up my annual leave right now, but I still need a break. I'm very tired and exhausted, as you can see by this weird bear looking gaunt face. So it kind of works good with the bad. Because I live on my own, all I have to pay for really is the mortgage and the flat upkeep. But aside from that, and food, I have no other outgoing costs really. So an 80% reduction isn't too big of a problem for me. Mostly because I also don't really live an extravagant lifestyle. I don't buy tons of stuff. I don't own a lot of stuff that needs upkept all the time. So to reduce my outgoings for the next month or two by 20%, I don't think will be that challenging, in fairness. I think the only real issue is that now, because I do live on my own, and I now don't have work that keeps me focused and integrated every single day and switched on, is I feel like I'm going to get very bored and some sort of cabin fever very quickly. So we need to find solutions to that. Right, okay. So if that's me being furloughed then, it means I've got 3 weeks to spend by myself. Well, say by myself, you know, in lockdown. Now, you can either kind of take this in one of two ways. You can either take your time in lockdown as I'm going to settle down, I'm going to relax, I'm going to just enjoy myself and regain my energy. Now, as good as that sounds, it's always nice. Kind of sounds a bit like you can go on holiday, just chill out on a lounger. But for me personally, it's, you can get twitchy fingers. You start to kind of lose sense of what's going on, and it starts to stress me out after a while actually, if I don't have something that I can accomplish, more or less. Which brings me on to option B, which is you can use this time productively and get on with all other things you haven't had time to do, or you make excuses to do, which I do a lot. So, going around the flat, there's, even just right now, there's a number of things I can get on with that will eat up the 3 weeks without me noticing it. And they're all things I kind of want to do and kind of need to do, but I want to have a look at anyway. I've already found one thing I need to do, and it is, bear with me, it is out of the books out here. It's reading this book, if you can see it, Lord Fowl's Bane. Now, I don't really know what it's about, and it's a nice thick book which gives me a lot of time, gives me something to invest quite a bit of time into. But the main reason is because, if I can find it, there we go. It was actually a gift from a family friend years and years ago, probably when I was still a kid, I want to say under the age of 15, 14, maybe some point around there, and I've never read it. I've always been grateful on getting gifts from people, but for some reason growing up I always had excuses not to do stuff. So now that I don't have an excuse, I will finally read this, which kind of makes me happy as well, because I'll actually get to understand what the reference was in the book with this. My only regret is I haven't read it sooner, that's the only thing. Now, I don't know if it's any good because, well, I haven't read it. Item number 2 is the Nintendo Switch. So I am a massive Nintendo fan, always have been. Ever since I first laid hands on my cousin's Nintendo 64, I've always been a massive fan of the Nintendo franchise. Not because the graphics are the best in the world, and not because the storyline's most in depth. Xbox and PlayStation and PC definitely take that away from it, but because it's just generally bright, bubbly, and most of all fun. And that's the priority behind Nintendo, is to make things fun. So I've always been a big fan of that. I've also been a big fan of Pokemon all the time. So I got given Pokemon Shield for Christmas, and I've played the grand total of about 20 minutes of it, even though I've had it now for 4 months. So that's another thing to aim to finish. And lastly, my cane drum. I've had this for 5 years, and I never learned to play it fully. I know bits and bobs on it. I used to play a little bit of drums when I was a kid, so I kind of dosed around with it, but never really invested enough time into it. I would really like to get back into learning an instrument again, and because I live in a flat that has people above, below, and either sides, this is probably the only instrument that I have on me that I can actually play without disturbing people too much. Which is great, because otherwise I'd be scuppered. As you can see, still a little bit of a mess in here. Still need to sort this out as well. The flat's generally been a bit of a tip since we had to work from home. So that's another thing I need to do this week, is get my house in order. Oh, that's the other thing. I need to learn how to use this camera. I still don't think it's the best, and it's still, I keep using it and it's still pretty shaky. I need to learn how all the settings work. So it might improve a bit the quality. I don't